I made us hats for today's episode.
Goody!
It's to protect us.
To protect us?
Yes, because we're talking about some heavy shit today. Put it on.
Okay.
Does it fit?
Oh, like a glove. The
Brace
government's going to
yourself.
get us.
Oh, this is a show that we made for your mom and your dad and your aunties too. So grab yourself a coffee, it's a crack of dawn, and strap yourself in for a heaps good morning.
It's another heaps good Sunday morning, and yet again we're here to delight and entertain.
And definitely informed today.
We are informing. We're talking about the Mandela Effect today.
Hence the tin hat.
Hence the hats. I know they're gorgeous, aren't they?
They match.
They do.
They've got little flowers on them and everything. Maybe I
Yeah.
should take up aluminium millinery.
Ooh. You said aluminium, not aluminum.
I did because, well, I live in this country.
Alright, so,
So today we're talking about the Mandela Effect.
okay, do you want to explain what the Mandela Effect is, or would you like me to?
It is intense.
It
I'll
is.
explain some of it, and then if I look like I'm floundering, you can explain.
Okay, cool.
So, the Mandela Effect, which was created by Fiona Broome.
That's correct, Fiona Broome.
She is a public speaker.
Yes, she does conventions and things like that.
And she spoke about specifically recalling the death of Nelson Mandela, but not in 2013. She specifically recalled it in the 80s while he was incarcerated. And after her speech, several people came up to her and said, I remember the exact same thing. I remember him dying in prison. I remember the funeral procession, the people mourning in the streets. I remember his wife doing this big heartfelt speech about her husband and how he was, a world changer and things like that. But it didn't actually happen. Never happened. He died in 2013. A free man. And that was the first case that this particular person was aware of kind of a mass, not really hysteria, but a mass misremembering of a situation. So now it's called the Mandela Effect.
It is indeed.
And people, let me tell you, this runs deep.
We're going to go on a bit of a roller coaster ride today because so many things that you may have thought to be so actually aren't.
At all.
At all.
I mean, some of them are kind of like we said, some of them are like mishearing or things like that. But some of them
just are mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Things like, just touch on a couple of the basic ones like the Berenstain Bears, which everyone remembers to be the Berenstain Bears, but never was. It was actually, and it has always been, the Berenstain Bears.
There's the whole Sinbad movie, Shazam, which apparently, and I specifically recall there being a Sinbad movie. He played a genie. It was called Shazam, and I can't say that I watched it. I grew up in a household that wasn't really all for television. We didn't do a lot of TV. We didn't have a VCR until like the late 90s. Like it was, we didn't do that kind of stuff. But apparently that movie never exists. There's
But
one
there is
called
one.
Kazam.
Yeah, Kazam, that has Shaquille O'Neal in it.
Shaquille O'Neal, who looks nothing like Sinbad at all.
Absolutely nothing.
And who's not really a comedy actor, whereas Sinbad was an actor in the 80s and stuff. I mean, he did like not in Living Color. What's that? Oh, anyway, he did shows.
But I remember Shazam,
I feel like I remember Shazam. I feel like I can picture his outfit even.
Yeah.
But is that because he always wore the MC Hammer pants? He always looked a bit like a genie?
I was going to say one of the things I definitely remembered from the movie was the hammer pants. Definitely.
Yeah, and the
hammer
big
pants.
gold earring.
Yeah.
I mean, he did always wear an earring because I've done heaps of research on it. We've done loads of research.
Days and days worth
of research. In our mind, we've probably been laying in our, separate beds, being totally boggled, because some of this stuff, some of it is just pop culture reference. Some of it is not a huge deal, but some of it
you could lose sleep over.
Is like pretty earth-shattering, some of it.
I know another one was Luke, I am your father from Star Wars, which is a very common, I'm saying it's a misheard line.
Yeah, but in the research that you and your wife did, and I read somewhere that even James Earl Jones has misquoted it.
That he's misquoted it on at least 2 occasions. He has misquoted it.
Because I'm a Star Wars fan, but only the original, the first trilogy. I've not liked any of the other stuff. I haven't even bothered seeing the last couple. I don't really have the commitment to be a diehard fan to anything, really. But I always knew it was not Luke, I'm your father, because I remember the whole conversation that Darth Vader was having with Luke Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker has a reputation in those first 3 episodes of being quite whingy and kind of a pussy and being like, you killed my dad. And then Darth Vader says, no, I am your father.
Yeah. It doesn't...
in response to him saying, you killed my father.
Yeah.
He never says, Luke, I'm your father. It's not. It's, no, I'm your father.
Yeah, and I always remember it being, no, I am your father. Because it's the only way it actually makes sense in the movie.
Conversationally. The way that conversation plays out. But then there's other Star Wars ones, too. Like C-3PO. Everyone remembers him being solid gold.
And he has a silver leg.
Which I don't know about nowadays, but in the original trilogy, I don't think that was ever addressed. But yeah, a whole leg was silver.
But I wonder also if it was a quality thing. If maybe because of the quality of the first 3 movies that we didn't really just notice that
because it wasn't high definition by any means back then. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
But I guess we should talk about why people feel the Mandela Effect, I guess.
Well, and also, didn't you say in your research you found that a lot of people that are victim to the Mandela Effect are also sufferers of tinnitus?
Yes. No one knows why.
Because no one knows the cause of the Mandela Effect either. Like, nobody knows what causes it, where it comes from. There's several theories. One of them is pretty far-fetched, in my opinion, because it means that I have to, question my whole existence, which is, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But... yeah, so who knows why it causes tinnitus?
Yeah, they've got no idea. They've just done some research of these people that are suffering from the Mandela Effect, and they all, or a majority of them, seem to all suffer from tinnitus, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
But the theories range from anything from... there is a time traveler that's going through time and things are slightly changing because of that. Which if
you know anything about time travel, you know that every time you go back into time or into the future, you subsequently, even if you're just walking down the street and see no human being, if you kill a butterfly or something like that hence the butterfly effect.
Yep.
You alter reality for the people that are not time travelers. It changes something, even in what you may think is a minute way. Now look, here you go, guys, brace yourselves. Didn't they do a Simpsons episode about that? About time travel? Was it The Simpsons?
Yes, they
did. Or
did.
was it Futurama? There was a toaster or something? Was it a Simpsons movie?
There was a Simpsons episode, I reckon, where they did do time traveling, and I think it might have been via a toaster.
Yeah, I think didn't Homer wipe out all of the dinosaurs beforehand?
Yeah.
Or something.
That was the episode where they first did their 3D rendering for The Simpsons, and they trialed 3D rendering. I remember that very well, because everyone was going home and making their 3D glasses.
Not this guy.
I realised it didn't actually work because it was just 3D rendering and not actually 3D.
What does that... anyway, tell me later what that means.
Okay, we can get into that.
You know what's funny? And this has nothing to do with Mandela Effect, sorry, and it'll be really quick so I won't get off task. You know how everybody that suffers... now, when you say suffers from the Mandela Effect, do you mean has one experience of the Mandela Effect or has a lot of experiences?
Well,
what makes you a sufferer of the Mandela Effect?
Typically, a person that suffers from the Mandela Effect won't just have one thing. So, I mean... I haven't heard of anyone that has just had one thing. Usually it's a couple of things or a few things.
Well, so sufferers of the Mandela Effect suffer from tinnitus as well, stereotypically, which I don't. And there's a couple of these that I'm like, But also they say, because the tin hats reminds me, or aluminum hats, they did this big study of people that said they had been abducted by aliens, which we can do an episode on that.
Oh, we are so doing.
We won't get into that. But and apparently, a huge percentage, and I'm just going to make a number up. Let's say 97.9% of the people that have claimed to have been abducted by aliens have also, at a previous time in their life, underwent hypnosis for smoking, weight loss, anxiety, comedy routine. But statistically, most of the people that have been victims of alien abduction, whether you believe in that or not, also have been hypnotized at some point in their life.
Ooh, that's very interesting.
So I wonder if there's more connections to maybe the Mandela Effect. Oh, brace yourselves. Maybe the Mandela Effect is as a result of us being in a giant terrarium because we are secretly just a study for alien life forms.
Now, I'm not sure if this is an everyone thing, but I've often thought, it's a bit Truman Show-esque, but
It is.
why not? I mean, that could be logic to a degree, I guess. Compared to a couple of the other ones, another one of the reasons that the people could be suffering from the Mandela Effect is that the world was destroyed back in 2012.
This is the one that... so you can bleep that, but this one f***s with my head. You can bleep it twice.
But basically, what's happened is the world was destroyed in 2012.
Oh, man.
And humanity was backed up onto some form of hard drive. And basically, there is glitches in that system and stuff like that, which makes it so we perceive things differently than they actually are.
So the data entry people that backed us all up and created all of our memories because they had like different shifts. Some people thought that Nelson Mandela died in the 80s and they're like, oh, you recall this. Does that mean that you and I aren't physical beings?
Well, I felt that. I felt that. Well, I think that's a part of the theory, is that maybe that we're not actually here and we're just humanity on a hard drive that's actually living out life in a hard drive.
I feel a bit ripped off if that's the case, because I've got OCD, ADD, and also a weird disease. Couldn't they program me to be a bit healthier?
Well, that's what they think. They think it's because of updates in the system, and when they update the system, that they get glitches from the updates, and that's how we are getting... But another one that I really like...
Yeah, this is one of you.
Even more far-fetched, even. Quantum computers, which is something that I don't... Do they exist? I don't even know.
I don't think we're supposed to know if they exist. I think it's one of those, like, big government secrets or something.
Probably. But apparently they've got quantum computers. They have
What a quantum computer is... Explain it.
Okay.
Because I don't really grasp it.
So apparently it's not so much about these computers, but about these chips. And these quantum chips, over a course of time, what they do is they actually... Alright, this is only from my understanding, because I'm not a scientist. But from my understanding, what's happened is they have created this quantum chip, and over the course of time, it's actually starting to get bigger and faster.
The chip is?
The chip is.
Is it naturally evolving? It's growing? Or have they added on to... the people in charge of the quantum chip?
Alright. Now this is the up part. What's apparently happened is with this quantum chip, it actually borrows from this quantum chip in another timeline, in another dimension.
Oh, what?
So we're getting these shadows of other dimensions over the top of our dimension.
I have tinnitus right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
you're learning too
my
much too
hat's
fast.
not big enough.
And we get shadows over these quantum chips, which is making things fall from other timelines into our timelines. Now, that for me is... Well, I can somewhat grasp... time traveling and things like that. But when you're talking about other dimensions, like in different realms, falling into ours...
So a friend of mine, me, Robin, and a friend of mine were talking about string theory, because this is what, educated people do when they're drunk at roller derby camp. We were out under the stars. It was just the three of us. I mean, a couple of drunk people wandered up, and then they're like, oh, too deep, and they walked off. And Bando and I were discussing string theory and explaining it to Robin. And the thing about string theory that kind of messes with me is because I'm informed and educated and things like that. However, I cannot deal with the scope of there being other dimensions. Like, my mind is too small. I can't fathom it. It's easier for me to deal with injustices and things like that if there's just only the one dimension. If there's other dimensions, then I go down this rabbit hole of like, okay, well, is there animal cruelty? Is there, are there orphans? Is there domestic violence? Is there, racial discourse? Like, I just can't. I just can't.
Well, because I believe with string theory, isn't it the fact of, I think what happens is there's one string,
Yeah.
and then what happens is there's a choice that comes along where you can either take one path or the other path, which causes that string to split into two.
Yes, but there is not just one string. String theory is there's several strings, and like we are familiar with the first three dimensions,
Yeah.
one-dimensional figures, two-dimensional figures, and three-dimension, which is the third dimension is the one we live in. String theory is that there is many dimensions, and I think Bando was saying 12 or 13 is the theory right now, and they're all similar to the dimension that we're in, only slightly different, and that as our timeline progresses, so does the timeline in the other dimensions. So, string theory feeding into Mandela Effect, quantum chip, is the theory that the shadows of memories that we are misremembering, is that the occurrences that have happened in other dimensions? So did Nelson Mandela, in theory, did Nelson Mandela die in the 80s in prison in another dimension?
And I guess that's exactly what the theory is.
My mind is like, my mind's too small for this. I really just can't.
So it happened in another dimension.
And we're getting the shadow of that memory. We're getting
the shadow of that memory. And
because of the growth of the quantum chip.
Yeah.
We warned you guys. This is not your normal old dog food eating episode of Heaps Good Morning.
No, it's really not. But it goes from misheard things to things being written slightly different to islands being
totally
around.
Missing.
And not being there. One off the coast of Australia, apparently off the coast of, I believe, Western Australia. There's supposed to be an island. No one, lots of people remember it. No one knows what it was called.
I think it's ironic though. This theory, one of the evidence, or on YouTube shows they call them receipts. One of the receipts that this island actually existed was that in Dazed and Confused, it was seen on a map, blurrily. Now, I don't really know if you can use Dazed and Confused as like a scientific kind of backup, but that's one of the evidences that this island off the coast of Australia existed.
But the thing is, it was a spinning globe. It was as the globe was spinning, so you were getting glimpses
you're unprotected!
Oh, no! You were getting glimpses of other countries because it was spinning.
Yeah, so maybe we can't really base that, but isn't there another case?
Oh!
This is his favorite.
This is definitely my favorite.
This is his favorite one, which I'm going to admit is kind of mind-blowing. That all the pop culture ones don't really blow your mind. They're just kind of like, oh, that's weird. But this kind of stuff is pretty,
Yeah. Okay, so there was a man who landed in Tokyo, Japan in 1954. Claiming that he was from the state of Torrid. He produced a checkbook, passport, driver's license that was issued to him by the Torrid state.
Yeah, government issued stuff.
But the state never existed.
According to Tokyo.
Now, what happened is he was placed under arrest by the police.
Was he under arrest or just police surveillance?
All it says from my research is he was under police watch.
So they just had to watch his comings and goings to make sure that he wasn't a terrorist or something.
Yeah, and then he disappeared. But he just off the face of the planet, he does not exist anymore.
Let's call him Tony from Torrid.
Tony from Torrid. So
Tony,
if you're
where are you?
We would like to know where you're probably
He'd be very old.
Yeah.
He's probably very old. Yeah, I want to do some more research into that.
Yeah.
I wonder where he is. I wonder, how he disappeared. Did he, go into a massage parlor and just never come out? I don't know why I chose massage parlor. Sorry, that's
a little bit racist.
That's... Why? And I'm not saying because he's Asian. I'm not being racist. I think that Tony from Torrid had a bit of sexual depravity. So, and was probably a single guy if he was traveling, with all of his information and was never missed by his wife, in Torrid.
Yeah.
So he's probably single, so he needed a bit of relief. So he went to the massage parlor. It had nothing to do with him being in Japan. What happened to him? Did he just go into the grocery store to buy some edamame and then that's it?
Maybe he spontaneously combusted. There's another one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one too. I feel like our show is evolving to something different because there's so much stuff. We decided a few weeks ago. So technically today is supposed to be our last episode.
It is, episode 12.
Yeah,
we said that we will be around for 12 weeks.
We'll do 12 episodes and we'll see where we go. But I don't think either one of us want to stop.
No, I'm really loving this.
Me too. We did decide a few weeks ago that we were going to start doing some new stuff, and we're going to start talking about conspiracy theories and the Yeti and the Chupacabra and chemtrails and what was the one I just said? Now I've forgotten. Well, aliens, ghosts, and what did I just say?
I've forgotten. Oh, we're talking about
spontaneous combustion.
And HARP. I know lots of people find HARP really interesting, so I'd like to do some on that as well, and the Illuminati and all that type of stuff.
The Illuminati. We're going to have to get some better hats.
We're going to and update our security system, I think.
For sure. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? The Mandela Effect. We've got a whole list of stuff. Oscar Mayer, Bernstein Bears, Looney Tunes, Jiffy. Jiffy Pop, I think, is a popcorn, and Jif was the peanut butter, if I recall it correctly. So I don't know about that. Sex and the City. Yeah. Curious George. Did he hold a banana with a tail? Clearly not, because he didn't have a tail. There's just so many things that you could go into. Do your own research.
Even a quick one, a biblical reference. The lion shall lie with the lamb. With something, I was brought up with a Christian background, so I remember the lion shall lie with the lamb. It's not. There was never a lion. It was a wolf. Apparently, it's the wolf will lie with the lamb.
I remember in my great-grandmother's house, that side of my family was Pentecostal. So anyways, but I remember there being one of those because she had tons of religious paraphernalia on the wall because she was Pentecostal, and they in the South there's a school of people that live their life according to the Lord, and I feel like she had one of those biblical kind of sunray plates or pictures or something with a lion and a lamb. There's heaps of stuff that you can find with lions and lambs.
There is, yeah, because it's a biblical
Maybe it's
reference.
A different verse. Maybe it's something else somewhere.
I have wondered if it just happens to be, now there's different versions of the Bible.
Of course, Old Testament, New Testament, King James.
Yeah, I studied the King James version of the Bible, and
of course, because you're Australian.
Yeah. So I was just wondering maybe if it just happens to be a different translation or something like that.
Well, I don't know. Do we have any Bible thumpers out there?
Let us know.
If so, let us know. Is there a verse that makes reference to the lion laying with the lamb? Is it a different verse from the wolf lying with the lamb? Who knows?
Yeah, because it could be two different verses.
Could be two different verses. There's a lot of verses in there, so who knows? Yeah. All right. So that's the Mandela Effect.
It is the Mandela Effect.
So hopefully we informed a bit.
I think we're quite informative.
Yeah, it was a bit rushed, but it had to happen, and we don't like it when people tune out because our episodes are too long. So
we're trying to cram a lot into a small episode.
Yeah. But we will follow it up. If people have interest in it, we'll follow it up.
Yeah, if you are interested in it, let us know because, there is plenty more.
There's so much. Oh, hey, look, that sign's crooked. Just saw it.
I kind of did it on purpose, actually.
Did you?
I did.
You turkey. Anyways, so, we'll move on to the next thing. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Our future is at your conspiracy fingertips.
All right, so we're not doing reenactments today because it has been a bit of a longish episode. So we're going to go straight to the credits. And for the credits today, you are going to see us do something that we have promised you since week 1.
We're going to lick each other's eyeballs.
Goody. Hope you enjoy it. See you next week.
Bye. Hey, I'm wearing contacts.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm blind. So just lick the white. Because if you lick the colour, my contact will stick to your eye and you'll be able to get home.
Okay, cool.
I'm licking you first.
Okay, you go first.
Open your eye. Look that way. With your eye, not with your eye.
That feels weird.
Salty!
That is so bizarre. Alright, come on, let's go.
So weird.
That is bizarre!
Can you believe people do that as like a sexual thing?
As a no?
Yeah, it's like a fetish.
It's kind of like
why is your slobber so claggy? So there you go. Licked eyeballs.
Consider it done after 12 weeks.
Done.
Bye.